plastic bag erupted with a wet crack, sending eggs cascading across the asphalt of the parking lot. Elena inhaled sharply, instinctively positioning herself to protect her son, Nico, as Derek, a formidable ex-Marine clad in a sleeveless tee, cast a derisive glance and sent the remaining groceries sprawling onto the curb. "Next time, pay attention to where you're walking, lady," he growled. "I was careful," Elena replied, her voice trembling yet resolute, positioning herself protectively between Derek and her child, who recoiled slightly behind her, grasping her apron tightly. Derek thrust a stout finger ahead. "It seems that you all are perpetually armed with justifications." The throng gathered in the Chula Vista grocery lot came to an abrupt standstill. Silence enveloped the scene, and not a soul stirred. A handful murmured. No one intervened. Across the expanse of the parking lane, Jason Statham took a sip from his smoothie cup, his gaze unwavering as it locked onto the unfolding scene. Approach, observing. Then Derek moved in closer to Nico, barking, "10 jobs? Huh." Respect remains an elusive lesson for him. That was the moment. Jason traversed the lane. "Remove yourself from the vicinity of the boy." Derek pivoted. "Step aside, Hollywood." Jason remained unblinking. Then, the air ceased its motion. "Before we move forward, be sure to like and subscribe to witness Jason Statham's thrilling confrontation with the overconfident ex-Marine. Share your location with us today." The afternoon sun in Chula Vista blazed upon the supermarket lot, casting an ominous glow. Heat danced upon the surfaces of windshields. The sound of shopping carts clattered together, their metallic frames colliding near the rail. Wheels swaying, sun-kissed metal rattling. The soft murmur of the nearby highway intertwined with the lively chatter, the rhythmic beeping of car locks, and the faint bark of a small dog tethered near the entrance. The vibrant energy of the grocery store thrummed in the air. Ordinary routine until it transformed. Jason Statham glided through it all like a whisper in the night. With the hoodie pulled up, footsteps barely making a sound, a slender figure concealed behind reflective shades. Merely another patron, seamlessly merging into the crowd. Yet, there was intention in his stride, and a keen intensity lurking within the calm of his gaze. This was far from a Hollywood spectacle. Without cameras and without an entourage. A brief post-filming excursion, a swift pause for protein bars and a refreshing smoothie. Derek distinguished himself in every aspect where Jason fell short. With broad shoulders and veins prominently etched across his sun-kissed arms, he donned his worn Marine Corps shirt as if it were a symbol of his unwavering authority. His boots struck the pavement with a commanding presence, as if they were the rightful rulers of the ground beneath them. A scowl etched deeply upon his visage. Derek's presence held a profound significance, the sort that prompted others to avert their gaze rather than confront him. For him, his military history was not a matter of service. It was a tool for manipulation. Elena was not one to flinch easily. Years spent working double shifts at the diner had carved a subtle resilience into her character. With her hair neatly pulled back and the apron still tied from the morning shift, she navigated her cart with remarkable precision. Beside her, Nico, a sprightly 8-year-old, filled with curiosity, mirrored her every movement with a sense of pride. They possessed a certain cadence, a common emphasis. With a gentle smile, she adjusted his hold on the bag handles. The resilience of family. Silent, constricted. Derek found the request to relocate quite displeasing. Not when his truck obstructed the fire lane. Not by some diner lady. As the moment arrived, with Elena gently requesting him to be mindful of his foot, Derek's hand betrayed a subtle twitch. The cart rail beside him emitted a creak, a groan, as it succumbed to an unexpected weight. It remained a mere whisper of potential. Yet, within the sweltering heat, a perilous force began to awaken. At the sound, Jason's head pivoted sharply. He tightened his grip on the smoothie ever so slightly. He remained still, not at this moment. Yet he was observing, and the cart rail was on the verge of taking flight. "You collided with my truck." Derek's voice cut through the air with the force of a blow. Cutting, piercing, and designed to inflict pain. Elena spun around, a look of bewilderment crossing her face. I didn't lay a finger on it. Derek loomed above her, a figure of undeniable height. His boots echoed against the pavement as he approached, eyes wide with feigned indignation. He thrust a stout finger in the direction of her cart. Indeed, are you unable to see? Or is it a matter of lacking understanding? Nico's tiny hand gripped Elena's arm with increasing intensity. The bag of groceries she had just placed into the cart shifted ever so slightly. An egg carton balanced precariously at the brink. She elevated her tone, steady yet resolute. Excuse me, but it appears that your vehicle is positioned rather askew, straddling the line. We are merely striving to navigate through life. That sufficed. Derek's boots swung outward with a sharp crack as he sent the corner of her grocery bag flying. Cartons toppled, eggs shattered. Nico recoiled as the yoke erupted, painting the pavement in a chaotic splash. The bag sagged, defeated, as groceries tumbled beneath the adjacent bumpers. You never take responsibility? Derek sneered, his hands planted firmly on his hips. You shatter what's around you, only to don the guise of the wronged. Statistics. The throng had come to a standstill. Shoppers stood motionless beside their vehicles. A woman, her journey to the trunk interrupted, held her keys aloft. A young man, his fingers tightening around the cart, clutched a baby bottle with determination. Silence enveloped the room. Jason observed from his vantage point across the aisle, leaning against a pillar close to the smoothie cart. His expression remained a mystery, yet his eyes, frigid and methodical, fixated on the tableau with an almost clinical precision. "Hey!" he finally said, stepping forward, his voice steady yet terse, mindful of where you might swing. Derek pivoted with deliberate slowness, his chest swelling with pride. "Pardon me." Jason positioned himself between Derek and Elena, his stance easygoing, yet an undercurrent of tension vibrated just beneath the surface, as tightly wound as steel beneath fabric. Derek let out a hearty laugh. Is this Hollywood stepping in to don the cape of a hero? Jason remained unperturbed, neither a savior nor a champion. Pains me to witness children being taught to fear. Fear has a distinct visage, one that is unmistakable. Derek's smile twisted into something sinister. It takes 10 jobs to cover the rent, yet the refrain remains. You're not good enough. I am aware of what I have achieved. He advanced, encroaching upon Jason's intimate boundary. Elena reached out to grasp Nico, but Derek intervened, extending his arm to push her aside. She collided with her cart, striking the side forcefully. Nico gasped, his eyes wide with surprise. Jason shifted his position, not swift, yet with unwavering assurance. He entered, resting a hand on Derek's chest. Derek swatted it away and thrust forward. The strike lacked full power, yet it was delivered with remarkable speed. A skillfully executed jab. It grazed Jason's jaw, forcing him to take a half-step back. A collective breath was held by the crowd. Jason steadied himself, rolling his jaw as his eyes narrowed. He fixed his gaze on Derek, not with fury, but with insight. You've just made a grave mistake by crossing this man. The atmosphere crackled with an intensity, as if a fuse were nearing its final moments. The conflict had ceased to simmer. It was bound to happen. Derek's chest rose and fell with intensity as he advanced, his voice laced with malice. What is this? Is your boyfriend a social worker now? He lifted his fist, a raw embodiment of intent. Elena instinctively drew Nico close, her arms outstretched, a fierce maternal instinct igniting within her. Her voice faltered. Kindly, I ask you to cease. Derek took a mighty swing. Jason was already in motion. With a deft movement, he evaded Derek's punch, allowing it to sail harmlessly past his shoulder. Derek faltered a bit, caught off guard by the force of his own movement. Gasps echoed across the parking lot. A can of soup tumbled beneath a sedan. Neglected. Phones were raised, capturing the moment, zooming in, yet no one stepped forward to assist. Jason adjusted his posture with a serene composure, his breath steady, his jaw realigned. The shimmer in his gaze had transformed. Not merely alertness, but a state of preparedness. A voice whispered from the periphery of the crowd. Did he really just evade that? Yet another. Could that be Jason Statham? Jason advanced a single step, placing himself squarely between Derek and Elena. His arms remained at his sides. Though his posture remained the same, an indefinable shift had occurred within him. The tranquility had transformed into authority. Derek pivoted, his eyes fluttering open in surprise. "Oh, what is this? So, you're about to become the hero of the lot?" Jason responded with calm composure. "Please, give me some space." At this moment, Derek's lip twisted in disdain. "Do not presume to dictate my actions." He unleashed another blow, more challenging. Untamed, Jason glided to the left, the swing slicing through the air with naught but emptiness in its wake. He tilted his head slightly, glancing back over his shoulder. Nico remained glued to his mother's leg, fear gripping him tightly. The stillness that lingers, it held significance. Jason's gaze lingered on the boy for a heartbeat longer than required. As he pivoted, tension gripped his jaw. The uncertainty had vanished. This was more than a mere bully with a history. A boundary was being breached. Jason firmly planted his feet, ready for what lay ahead. "Elena," he uttered, his gaze fixed ahead, his tone steady. "Bring your son along." Take a moment to pause. Elena chose not to engage in a dispute. She bent down, grasped Nico's hand, and together they shuffled back behind the curb. They parted the sea of faces, creating a path through the throng. Derek observed and let out a scornful laugh. "Fear grips her. You ought to be as well." Jason's sole response was a mere exhalation. In that moment, a teenager by the carts leaned in and whispered, "He exhibits no fear. Observe him closely." Another came in succession. "He stands there poised, as if he has navigated this path previously." The throng started to stir, where once existed a palpable tension. At this moment, glimmers of encouragement emerge, a gentle whisper of optimism. Derek, driven by his inflated sense of self, gestured toward the onlookers. "Are you capturing this on film? Excellent. Observe the unfolding drama when an imposter attempts to don the guise of a soldier." He marched ahead with determination. Jason remained still. He lingered in anticipation. The onlookers drew closer. A woman held her purse tightly against her chest, her eyes filled with alarm. A father in gym attire halted mid-stride, caught in a moment suspended between his physical form and the world around him. Derek drew his arm back once more, this time with a thunderous intensity, a primal growl echoing in the air. Yet, on this occasion, the tempest approached from an unexpected direction. Jason stood poised, anticipation coursing through him. Derek surged forward. With a resounding grunt, he unleashed a right hook directed squarely at Jason's temple, the force of an ex-Marine propelling it forward. Yet Jason remained unyielding. He shifted to the left, deftly sidestepping to coax Derek into overcommitting, and as the fist sailed by, Jason lunged forward with precision. His hand seized Derek's wrist, contorting it in a savage, bone-crunching twist that sent Derek's knees buckling. Snap! A scream erupted from Derek's throat as his own momentum turned against him. With a swift motion, Jason pulled him to the side, propelling him shoulder-first into the unforgiving embrace of a metal shopping cart. The cart lurched, rattled violently, and then crashed onto the pavement with a resounding metallic clang, its baskets bouncing and scattering chaotically across the parking lot. Derek bellowed, wrenching himself loose. "You scoundrel of a..." He charged forward once more, this time with abandon. Pride suffocated beneath the weight of anguish. Jason's gaze was as cold as ice. He evaded the reckless swing, maneuvered behind Derek, and delivered a sharp elbow strike to the side of his ribcage. A muted thump reverberated as the breath escaped from Derek's lungs. He lurched ahead, choking on the air. Jason glided through the air, a specter that appeared before Derek had a chance to regain his footing. A further blow landed. Untidy. In a state of utter despair, Jason quietly entered the space. A swift strike to the cheek. Next, we made our way to the temple. Derek stumbled unsteadily. His face blossomed into shades of red, then deepened to a rich purple. His lips parted, revealing a gash. The audience recoiled, as though the sensation coursed through them as well. He retreated, unsteady, his dignity fraying at the edges. "Stay down," Jason said, his voice steady yet resolute, yet Derek found himself unable to do so. He let out a primal roar, a sound reminiscent of a creature in agony, and surged forward one final time, unleashing all his strength in a desperate, reckless charge. Jason advanced with purpose, intercepting Derek in the midst of his charge. He encircled Derek's waist, executed a swift twist, and forcefully drove him into the curb. The noise was utterly repulsive. Flesh collided with concrete, a harsh encounter. Derek squirmed, trapped. His breath had vanished. His limbs floundered feebly under Jason's burden. Subsequently, stillness. Jason rose gradually, looming large. Derek lay back, breathless and gasping. "Stay where you are," Jason murmured. "It is destined to deteriorate further." The stillness was abruptly pierced by a cry. "Behold, it's Jason Statham." A voice pierced through the throng. Breath catches. A wave of murmurs swept through the crowd. The store manager emerged from the doorway, eyes aglow with surprise, phone clutched tightly in hand. "Alert security and contact the authorities." That man simply, "Hold on." Could it be? The cameras were rolling, a multitude of them, devices positioned at an angle, flashing red record lights. Jason shifted ever so slightly, his gaze unwavering from Derek. Elena enveloped Nico in her embrace, drawing him close as he stood behind her. The boy murmured, "He's akin to a genuine superhero." Jason inhaled deeply, his demeanor steady, jaw clenched tight. No showing off, no ostentation, only mastery. The distant wail of sirens had commenced, a soft echo that steadily approached. As Derek lay on the pavement, blood mingling with his shattered pride, Jason advanced with a final, deliberate step. "Pick up her eggs," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. He turned and walked away, leaving silence in his wake. Upright and poised, hoodies danced gently in the wind. The crowd split as if yielding to an unseen force. His path remained unimpeded. Silence enveloped the room. They merely observed, quiet, bewildered. The legend had not merely engaged in battle. He had brought it to a close. Derek lay sprawled beside the curb, one arm bent awkwardly beneath him, the other shielding his face, a gesture born more of shame than of pain at this moment. Groceries sprawled in disarray around him. A fractured bottle of milk oozed gradually into the dust, trickling toward the shattered carton of eggs. Yolks spilled onto the asphalt, shimmering beneath the radiant California sun. His once pristine military jacket hung in tatters, encrusted with dust. Crimson droplets oozed from his swollen lip, cascading down his chin. Each inhalation was accompanied by a sharp pang of discomfort. Then, there was the sound of metal clinking. 2 officers approached, moving through the hushed assembly, one lowering himself, placing a knee beside Derek's ribs. "Are you finished?" the officer inquired. Derek offered a faint nod. His voice had vanished. "Then place your hands behind your back." The cuffs snapped shut with a definitive click. Across the lot, Elena remained motionless, with Nico still holding tightly to the hem of her sleeve. The boy's gaze fixed on Derek, no longer filled with trepidation, but rather with something entirely different: comprehension, understanding that even bullies face their own downfalls. An officer made his way toward Jason. "Are you all right, sir?" Jason nodded slowly. "Approach." Unwavering, a bruise blossomed on his cheekbone, yet his posture remained impeccable, poised as if untouched by the world around him. Derek was addressed by the other officer. What transpired? Jason cast a fleeting look at the disarray of groceries strewn about, then at Elena. "Gather her eggs," he uttered. "This is not a request. It's not a claim to pride. This would be the final command Derek would hear for the day." Elena advanced, her voice barely above a whisper. "Thank you very much." Uncertainty enveloped me, leaving me at a loss for action. Jason cast a glance her way, offering a single nod. "You were engaged in it." A mere second more was all that was required. She smiled, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. Nico gazed up at Jason, his eyes filled with wonder. "Do you possess the heart of a true warrior?" the young lad inquired. Jason lowered his gaze, bending slightly to meet his level. "Your mother is the true warrior, my dear. I recently assisted in tidying up the chaos." Nico blinked, taking it all in. The store manager hurriedly approached, phone in hand. Are you, by any chance, Jason Statham?" Jason remained silent. He simply shifted his gaze toward Elena. "Allow me to take care of your groceries," he offered. "Perhaps a touch more for the week ahead." She nodded slowly, her words trapped in the confines of her throat. With a swift motion, he produced a neatly folded bill from his pocket and offered it to her, while simultaneously snatching a discarded receipt and a marker from the checkout stand. "Would you be so kind as to sign this?" With a sly grin, Jason seized the marker and casually scrawled his name across the paper, devoid of any ceremony. He then pivoted and began to walk away. The crowd parted. Whispers floated through the air. A smattering of applause broke out. Not raucous cheers, but a resonance that runs deeper. Honor. As the sirens receded and the cuffs constricted, Jason's figure diminished into the bright threshold of the Chula Vista lot. He had kept his voice steady. He had refrained from boasting. He had effortlessly revealed the essence of power, cloaked in an aura of dignity. And by the time he departed, even the officer murmured under his breath, "That man was not merely performing. He embodies the character he portrays." In a parking lot where trepidation once resonated more than words, resilience emerged and hubris diminished. Jason remained upright, his presence commanding without the need for raised voices, while Derek crumbled beneath the burden of his own malice. The audience witnessed it, a display of honor in motion, rather than mere theatrics. Elena, once trapped, now stood with newfound height, her strength finally acknowledged. Derek, bound and shamed, transformed into a cautionary tale rather than a figure of valor. The news of the takedown circulated, not for the violence it entailed, but for the sake of justice. Nico would carry the memory of that day with him for all time. Not out of fear, but for the man who banished it. True strength protects the vulnerable, as demonstrated by Jason Statham.